And we are live. What is up, everybody? Aaron the dog back with Lucky Locks picks for the Dana White Contender Series breakdown here. Late night edition tonight for whatever reasons. My schedule, Lucky worked around it instead of working at our normal time of, around 5:30, 6 o'clock, going around 11:30 here on the East Coast. But going to go through the 5 cards on the Contender Series before our regular Wednesday show with the 3 of us Wednesday with Lucky, myself, and 2 Cents. But without any further ado, the one we're here to really listen to, I think last week I went 3-2, so I did okay. But we did agree on all the picks, but you weren't here to make your rationale. Lucky, how you doing this week?
Pretty good, man. Coming off obviously an off week for UFC, so still was able to make good money on the Octagon 61 card. It was a fun card. There was a lot of regional MMA actually. We saw a Luke Riley main event. Didn't really fight anybody that good, but had a really nice knockout, a good performance. Some really good fights on Octagon. So, yeah, it was a good weekend, and I'm looking forward to talking about this Contender Series card here. So, yeah, without further ado, let's get at it.
Yeah, dive into it with it's always nice when they start out with the fight I'm least excited of talking about for the night, but I think it will be a close fight. It's closely lined at for the strawweights here, Rose Conencio, or however you say it, which Lucky will tell us correctly, versus Alexia Tanera here. This is 2 Brazilian strawweights. Rose, very, very good in the grappling range. I mean, not really sure about the rest of her game, but very top notch within that realm, and very good top control, very good overall grappler. Alexia, the more exciting of the 2 fighters here, but she's fought, I think, the lower level of competition. Neither one faced a great level of competition, Elaine Lopez being the best of the 2, and she looked good in those 5 rounds to win the LFA title there. So I think that Alexia is maybe a little more unconventional on the feet or a little more dynamic, but I think leaves a lot of openings to get taken down by someone like Rose. I would assume Rose just kind of stalemates her on the ground until she tires her out and submits her. But I have no interest really in this fight. Did very little research on it. So, Lucky, tell me why Rose is a steal or not with their line here.
Yeah, so we got Pitbull Brothers versus Ribas family here. We got a clash of big Brazilian gyms. Conceição is the strawweight champ in LFA. Tayanara is the strawweight champ in SFT. So I think they are good prospects here. You said it. I'm not like super jazzed up for this fight, but I do think that whoever wins this one could, have a decent string of success, relatively speaking, in the strawweight division here. So Tayanara is somebody that, I would have been interested in at the dog range. And she opened up as a favorite, flipped the dog for a long time. She's flipped back to favorite. So, her being at chalk is enough for me to say, I'm not interested, hands up. But I think I am gonna lean her way. Conceição, you mentioned it, really good grappler, good wrestling. Not that sure about the rest of the game. So I feel like she's a very good wrestler. I don't know if she has a ton outside of that, and if we see that kind of not work, then I don't really know what else she's going to bring to the table here. Tayanara, I think, has a little bit more dynamism, a little bit more, je ne sais quoi to her game. So I'm going to lean that way, but, at a chalk price, I'm definitely out of the Tayanara business here. I was kind of hoping she was going to be the dog, and she was for a while, but yeah, I'm going to lean Tayanara side here, but I mean, it's not really one that I'm super enthusiastic about having any money on, and I won't have any money on. So, yeah.
I mean, I'll take Rose here, but I can definitely see Rose doing kind of the mummy walk, that mummy grappler walk at some point, and just kind of getting lit up by a bunch of strikes here. Well, I think Tayanara by KO, I'd be interested what that is priced at too, because I feel like it's a KO for Tayanara or Rose probably by sub. So, but we shall see. Plus 102 on Rose as of now. When I was looking at this fight earlier, it was minus like 125 range. So a little bit surprised there. But overall, looking at these lines, I'll be honest, like I'm not an odds maker, not a lines maker, but I'm surprised with a lot of these lines and some of the movement on them. So I'll be interested as we talk about some of these other ones. But yeah, I got the dog here. We're separated, but neither one of us been that first fight. But should be an interesting one, and we'll probably get a contract regardless of the result because it's a contender series. Kevin Vallejos taking on Cameron Teague. This fight here, I'm really excited for this fight, actually. I think Kevin Vallejos is very, very good. I think he's got a strong technical game. He's very tough as well. Going to a decision with Jean Silva as he did, I think that's a loss that's aged rather nicely, I guess you could say. I went on to the regional scene and he beat 12-9 guy, and then quickly went against 6-0 Gonzalez Contreras. I don't really know how good of a guy he is, but it's a body to get him back into his position where he kind of gets to reset it up here. Cameron Teague took a short notice fight against Austin Lingo, was in a very tough fight with Austin Lingo, and beat Austin Lingo, so knocked him out. So now Cameron Teague kind of gets this short notice replacement. He's, trained with some, decent level of competition, decent level of opponents, but this is very, very early on for him in his career to be at this point. I do think that he's got to make this an absolute dogfight in a war, and I just think Kevin Vallejos is smart enough and good enough and been in there with a better dog war maker that he was able to, I think that experience against John Silva will help him, but, Teague is a beast. That's great. I think Teague could definitely be a guy who ends up getting an opportunity back here at some point. But I gotta go Vallejos, but I hate this line. This line is really horrendous, but I mean, Vallejos, I think, does win. He's just better technically. I think that, I don't like Teague hands are that good. I don't think Teague's hands are that good as I think what Zach was going for here. It's a later show, but I'll go with Vallejos here, and I hate to say Vallejos by decision because I just don't want to see that. I feel like Cam Teague is too kill or be killed, so I'll say Vallejos by KO. Why not? But I want to get on this dog. I'd love to bet this, plus 350 here, so sell me on it.
Yeah, I mean, Vallejos is really good, I think. He's young with a lot of pro experience. He's done really well for himself. 22 years old, and he's a 7-time champ at Samurai Fight House in Argentina, which is the biggest promotion in Argentina. It's up and coming a little bit. This guy's kind of like the king of the Argentinian regional scene. I like him. And you mentioned he had the misfortune of facing Gian Silva last year, and you know what? He did pretty well. He did better than Charles Jourdain. And he made it to decision, which is more than Drew Dober can say as well. And this year they were going to make this guy fight Luke Riley until Riley had visa issues. Like, what the hell, man? Like, this is the guy that you give a muffin and you get him in. He's 22. He's good. Like, this isn't the guy that you make him fight John Silva and then Luke Riley. Like, come on, man. So listen, Teague. Is a decent fighter. He's got some durability. He's got some cardio, a lot of finishes, undefeated. I can't take anything away from him. The problem with Teague for me is I don't think he has really that top level physicality or athleticism. I think he's very solid technically. He just doesn't have that, that same athletic dynamism that some of these other guys have. And I think that Vallejos does have that. So, surprise, surprise, I'm not laying 5 units on minus 430 or whatever we got Vallejos at, but I do think he wins. I think he's better. I think he's, better hardware. I think he's very solid technically. I think he's a bright prospect, to be completely honest. So
I was blanking on some of the training partners of Teague, but Kurt Holloway there, Brock Weaver, that gym down in Alabama. So that definitely has some good guys there. Jimmy Cornbread Mills, that 9-2 prospect down there. So watch out for him. But yeah, I think this could be a very entertaining fight, but I just would be, very, very surprised. And yes, the amateur, record of Cam as well can be considered, but I do think Vallejos gets this one done. But yeah, this line horrible, minus 455. So, uh, yeah, not really breaking any news there. Do you think Vallejos gets the finish?
I mean, Teague is hard to freaking finish, man, to be honest. That's the thing. I think he like could, skill for skill, I think, yeah, but it's like, I don't know, man, Teague has been able to weather the storm in a lot of fights and come back, that's kind of his MO, to
Yeah.
be honest. So I don't know. I'm gonna say yeah, but I wouldn't bet it.
I think this in this fight, the more I think about it, it does make sense how it was booked here because I think clearly the UFC is not super sold on Vallejos at this point with who they were matching him up with bringing him back against Luke Riley. Even they were not bringing Vallejos back to beat Luke Riley. Let's be honest.
They got to get. I mean, I know Luke Riley didn't beat anybody that good this weekend, but there's guys worse than Luke Riley in the
They're
UFC.
gonna
I'm
they're
gonna
gonna
tell you
make
that
him
right
fight
now.
in the Contender Series to get the Contender Series contract on Luke Riley. Don't worry about that. That's
They should they should just bring him in. That's
they
just my opinion.
but they won't. They'll find someone plus 1,000 to give him. But yeah, I think that if that what I was saying with the if here Vallejos slips on the banana peel, loses to Cam Teague, the UFC would love to have Cam Teague on their roster. That this guy's not going to have a boring fight. You're not going to have to give him. So if he does find a way to win as a plus 350 dog, that's baked into even if he slips by a split decision, Dana will be like, this guy was a plus 350 dog and he came in here and he barely won. That's the kind of guy I want. It's baked in now with this line. So win-win for Dana White's Contender Series. So just a little extra, not really helpful. But yeah, minus 455. This line has just gotten out of control. The over 1.5 at minus 200. So it would not surprise me for Cam Teague to come in here and win quickly. Also, so just saying, but we shall see. Very interesting second fight on the card. Third fight is a car wreck of a fight in every sense of the word. All you Kevin Christensen fans, stand up because your boy is getting an opportunity after being a plus 350 dog on the LFA prelims on YouTube. And getting clipped and dropped in that fight by his opponent, who was a foot shorter than him, but still, went through, ended up throwing, I think, 15 or 16 Marge right hooks from behind his hip, and they just kept connecting, and his opponent did not make any adjustments. Then we had Francisco Mazzeo, who has had a broken arm win against Joan Estrella, where he was going for a throw and Joan had to tap out. I had a bet on Joan Estrella in that fight. I remember that fight very, very well. I had Joan at plus money. Then we had the Angus Hewitt fight. Angus Hewitt, a favorite of the show here, having a rough go of it in his career. Let's be honest. He's been buggy choked. He's been knocked into oblivion a few times. And then he was in a war with Francisco Mazzeo, who appeared to have 2.5 minutes of gas before he was done holding his hands up at all in any sense of the word. And then he got illegally kneed and took the easy way out, showed his IQ, but did not show his gas in that fight. Right here, I think these guys are just going to run towards each other and throw bombs. It's going to look like Don Fry versus whoever that Asian dude was. I forgot his name at this point. But, either way, I'm taking Mazzeo at plus money because I think this is the level of guy that Mazzeo beats. Kevin Christian had 5 years off randomly before coming back and did not look in primo shape when he came back against Kevin Porto there in the LFA prelim, but he got the job done. Kevin can probably withstand the early barrage, and then after about 2 minutes, Francisco Mazzeo turns to dust. So that's probably when it ends up happening. But give me round one Mazzeo KO because I don't know what else you can really take Mazzeo by at this point. So this is a horrible fight that's going to get somebody in the UFC to fight like Kevin Ribeiro or something.
Yeah, man. Mazzeo, he's got good hardware. He's young. I think he's got potential.
He's
I'm not
huge.
seeing a Yeah, he's big. I'm not seeing a complete product right now when I look at him. He won 3 in a row on Cage Warriors, but, he was not fighting good competition in those fights. These were not main event showcases or main card fights. These were early prelim fights. One of them against Hewitt on disqualification, one of them he won an injury. He was at 185 for a while, before his last fight, he came up to 205. He's sticking with that weight, I guess. I'm not super big on him yet. I do think he has potential, but he definitely needs to develop. Now, Christian is a 6'7" Brazilian, has kind of, like you mentioned, gone off the map for a few years before showing up on LFA this year and got a good finish, not without facing some significant adversity in that fight, and certainly was not expected to do that well in
No,
that matchup, to say the least. But this is the type of guy that grabs your attention when you see him. He's a big dude with a 100% finish rate, and Dana loves that type of thing. But yeah, I'm gonna agree with you. If you're betting this fight, I think probably you got to go dog on Mazeo here. But I'm really not high on the guy, so I don't know if I'm gonna get there. But Kevin Christian is, we were talking about this fight a little bit earlier. He's just kind of a random guy, and I'm inclined to agree that this is kind of the level of guy that, we could see Mazeo be able to beat. But listen, I mean, outside of 5 minutes or maybe even less,
right.
listen, I don't know what the hell Mazeo is gonna do after that point, but yeah.
I think at light heavyweight he's got a little more less that he has to sacrifice from his body, so maybe because he's fatter, but he's gonna have better gas. But yeah, again, not really something that I would suggest getting involved in, even though I myself earlier today bet Mazeo at plus 130 and said, "What's that dumb?" Because usually if you ask that, you know the answer already. Yes, it was, but oh well. And y'all like the under. I mean, that's hard to say because if Kevin Christian it goes in with the game plan of this guy has the gas tank of like nothing, he might just kind of be smart in that first round. He also Kevin Christensen did kind of have a weird reactive takedown in his LFA fight, so he might be willing to go to that just to tire out Mazeo. But Mazeo is good at getting up after getting taken down. I'll give him that. Like he's gotten taken down a few times and has pretty good get up game. But I think it also comes at the price of his gas. So yeah, this is a horrible fight here. So I would suggest avoiding it. But again, I bet Mazeo at plus 130. By the way, Teague down to plus 330 now. So, sharp late night money steaming in on Cam Teague here. So watch out. All right, we'll go to the featured second from the top here. Very good, high quality Eastern European matchup here. Romania versus Belarus here. Two 30-year-old prospects, you could say. Dennis Frunze. We all got rudely introduced to Frunze, at least I did, when he knocked out my boy, the gentleman, Mr. Butler here, back, what was that, a year ago? Or Fuller, a year ago, Jalen Fuller. That was a bummer because I was a Jalen Fuller believer. I believed that Jalen Fuller was going to be in this position at some point, like probably a year or so ago, and he just kept running into guys like Frunze who would knock him out. And then Frunze, he's just kind of stuck around. He, beat Talunzig, who Talunzig, yes, 6-1. I did pick Frunze in that fight. Talunzig, not a guy I rate all that highly, but again, was a highly rated prospect, at least. So, did what he needed to do in his last couple. I believe he was an underdog in both those fights as well. Taking on Vadim Kudzi here, who's coming off of a fight 2 years ago almost against Ismail Naradiv with Brave CF. It was a very close fight up until the finish as well. I would say Ismail was winning that fight, lighting him up pretty well with the leg kicks, keeping him at that kicking distance, which is going to be Frunze's key as well in this fight here. I do not like that Vadim's taken 2 years off at all. I don't like that he's in nearly 33, 34 years old. Daniel Frunze, not a young man either by any stretch, but still, I think has just a little, I think he used the word dynamic. I can't even say the word. Still, he's more dynamic. I can't even say the word dynamic at this point in the night. But for me, I like Frunze in this spot, man. I think that, neither guy's been the most active over the last, last year, but I mean, at least Frunza's fought in the last 2 years a couple of times and fought a pretty decent level of competition. I believe this will be Cootsy's American debut as well, so that's a factor that I think has to be taken into account. And the 2 years off at minus 220, give me Frunza at plus 180. Tell me why I'm wrong.
Yeah, Frunza's a cool fighter. He's a big power puncher. Won his last 2 fights over good opponents on LFA. The Chalunzik win was literally in the last second, like literally in the last second of the fight. He got the knockout. Not the most complete fighter, but he's very dangerous for the full 15 minutes. You can't let your guard down with this guy. I do kind of feel that he's a little bit limited, though, to be honest. Kutsi from Belarus, great record, 17-1. So 33 years old now. It's kind of now or never for this guy. He has some good wins. Last 2 wins came on Brave. He beat Ismail Nardiev. Only loss was to Abakar Yandiev, who's a good fighter and actually went on to be a champion and won. Kutsi hasn't really been super active, and I think that's the real worry with him here is you don't really know what you're getting. Certainly at this price tag, you don't. I don't know how you could really feel that confident in what kind of a product you're going to be getting out of him, especially like at this point in his career. At 33, been off for a couple years. Who really knows what he's going to look like in this one? I think just on paper in a vacuum, he's a better fighter than Daniel Frunza. So I am going to pick him, but I really don't know how you could get through the window with any sort of confidence on this type of a number on Kutsi. But, straight up, who do I think has, greater than 50% chance to win? I'm going to say Kutsi. He has obviously the grappling upside. Frunza, I feel like a little bit limited outside of the big power. So I'm going to go Kutsi here, but I really, I'm not interested in any type of financial investment in this fight. I'm happy just to watch this one. And Prince is a guy that I've liked over the years. He's fun, so I don't really care who wins all that much.
Yeah, no, and I don't have a bet on Frunza at this point either. And being submitted by Gary Bellato Jr. is definitely a worry as well. And I mean, I'll be honest. If you had told me before the Jalen Fuller fight that Frunza would be in this situation, I'd be like, that's impossible. So it's really, I mean, the inactivity is definitely one of my biggest worries with Kutsi. And he just was even inactive in that Nurmagomedov fight for a lot of it. I mean, he landed that powerful hook to end the fight, but until then, it was a lot of, heavy on that lead leg, getting lit up by the leg kicks. I do think Frunza can replicate some decent parts of that game if it stays on the feet. But if Kutsi goes to the grappling, obviously that'd be his smartest route here. So either way, not betting at this point, plus 180, minus 220. I am surprised that the over 1.5 is only at minus 165. I feel like that is a decent price because I think this goes, 2 to 3 rounds more often than not. So, but we shall see how he looks. And main event time. One guy I know a lot about, the other guy I know like 5 seconds worth of tape on that I could find. Bailey Schoenfelder, I know a lot more about, obviously. Danielo Volodkin out of Ukraine. It seems like he likes to stand up. I found a bunch of his kickboxing tape. Didn't really feel like that would be helpful against a guy like Bailey Schoenfelder at heavyweight. Bailey Schoenfelder, one of those like 220, 230 type of heavyweights who, when he eventually learns his heavyweight lesson against a legit heavyweight, probably will cut down to light heavyweight. But until then, kind of gets by beating the likes of like Corey Mogenberger. America's beloved Corey Mogenberger. I hope he has another fight coming up soon. Or Mogenberg. Sorry. Mark Courier gave him all he could take in that fight. Definitely. Let Bellator know maybe this is not the guy we want to invest in as heavily as he's going to want us to be invested in. Went over the LFA, did well over there as well in his couple fights against a 0-0 or in his one fight, and then won the CFFC title against Greg Velasco. Definitely his best win there. Pounded him out in the first round. Berserker is his nickname. Former college football linebacker. Very good athlete. Here probably is going to take down Daniello and beat him up, take his back, and then pound him out is what I would expect here. But I don't really know. Daniello is huge. He came in at like 263. It's a big guy as well. Definitely could be the heavyweight that teaches Bailey that he's not really a heavyweight, but I'm got to see it to believe it. But the line is obviously keeping me from ever betting this fight ever. And yeah, Bailey probably finishes it early on. So not really breaking any news here, ground and pound round one.
Yeah, Schoenfelder, 5-0 guy to South Dakota, fought on Bellator, LFA, CFFC heavyweight champ. And, you know, if you watch the show that we do, any of the shows that we do, you know that I've said this a million times. I think CFFC is the best regional show in the USA. And statistically, the champions from CFFC perform better in the UFC than any other American show. So I love CFFC, guys. In my opinion, if you can get to the top of the pile in that show, you know, you can be in the UFC. Are you going to be a champ? Who knows? You can get to the dance if you can have a lot of success in that show, in my opinion. Voivodkin, 6-0 Ukrainian guy, strength of schedule is super, super weak. Only has one fight, which has gone over a minute. Only has 2 fights, which have gone over 30 seconds. So, yeah, I mean, I don't really know what to say about this. Like, if I was going to tell you, like, yeah, you know, he likes to do this and that, like, I mean, I'd be lying to you guys.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's like 5 minutes of, I don't even know if there's 5 minutes of available tape. There's 5 minutes of fight time in this guy's whole career. Like,
I found a 10-second
yeah,
clip. That was it.
It's like I have no idea. Maybe this guy is a massive killer. I'm gonna err on the side of, you know, probably not. But I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna pick Schoenfelder. He's at a price that it's like I don't know how you could ever justify, you know, with the lack of information on the other side. But yeah, I've seen Schoenfelder fight. He's good. He's beaten good guys. He's the champion in the promotion that I consider to be the best promotion in the U.S. So I'm gonna side with him. He's obviously at an unbettable price, so we'll see how it shakes out. You know, I'm just hoping for a fun one in the main event here.
Yeah. So that's gonna do it here. Is there of these 5 fights? Is there any fights that you feel confident in betting at all?
Not really, actually. I mean, I was thinking about Tainara if she was going to be the underdog. She's flipped back to favorite, so that's enough for me to not be involved. Vallejos, I like as a prospect a lot. He's at a price that I can't bet.
Mhm.
It's looking like Mazzeo is probably the pick, I think, if I had to bet something. I don't know if I will, which is crazy because I don't think that guy is very good.
I know.
But, you know, dog price against a guy that I also don't think is very
Having
good.
Christian out of Brazil, who's coming off the couch after 5 years.
Yeah, it's like I guess if you forced me to make a bet, that's probably
UFC
where I
Milan
feel like
needs to have Mazzeo and Vittori on the main card.
yeah, so I mean everything else is kind of at an unbettable price or there's just too many factors that are keeping me away, but I don't know, man. If there was a money line I was gonna play, I guess Mazzeo, which like I said is crazy because I'm really not high on this guy.
Trust me, I'm not either. This is a fade on Kevin Christensen with the Mazzeo moneyline bet. But yeah, I got Rose, Kevin, Mazzeo, Mr. Frunza, and Schoenfeld. So I believe that's the red corner for the night. So or the left side on Tapology. I don't know if that ever lines up, but we will be back on Wednesday at 10 p.m. with just my 2 cents return of the UFC breakdown show there. UFC Paris this weekend. Very good card with a ton of interesting dogs to talk about on there. So excited to break it down on Wednesday night at 10 p.m. Thank you, everybody, for joining us into Tuesday. It is midnight. We are signing off. Good luck later today with the Contender series. Peace out.